Flint, come here, bud. Good boy. Good boy, good sit. So today we're going to be doing some tone training with Flint here. Got a GPS collar. You'll want the antenna facing upwards. You want this about 2-finger tight, so that way it's not too loose and moving around on him while he's running. Come here, bud. Good boy. Flint. Good boy. Sit. Good sit. There you go. Good boy. Okay. I'll just put down the camera for 1 second here. Especially with breeds that have longer coats or hairs, you may need to make sure you move the collar around a little bit first before tightening it up. Because we won't be using the prongs for any of this, it's not going to be as important, but later on, or depending on how sensitive your certain dog is to things, you may require those contacts. Well, so just want to make sure it's nice and snug on there, 2-finger tight. It's not going to be rolling around anywhere. Good boy. Okay. And there are usually a lot of good reasons why some families may want to use something like a GPS collar. Gives peace of mind if you're going out on a hike or off to a beach or camping. A lot of times when the leash will kind of get in the way of certain activities, we still want to make sure that before we start, the pup has a good strong recall and bond with you. This is just to give us a little bit of extra reach, so that way you don't have to yell really far if he's further away. And also give them something outside of just that auditory sense, like the beeps. Sometimes it's easier for pups to respond and not ignore a physical sensation, kind of like tapping them on the butt. Good boy. Good boy. So we want to make sure that we are in tone mode. Okay. And then to activate it, you would just press this button on the side. Every collar and GPS unit is going to be different, so it's going to be really important that you read the instructions. And you can also do this with any kind of regular e-collar as well. It just won't have those extra GPS functions. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get a treat ready in my hand. And what I'm looking for is for him to kind of get out a little bit ahead of me. And now I'm going to tone and turn around at the same time. Yes, good boy. And then when he comes back to me, offer him that reward. Good boy. Head. Using a freedom leash, but a training leash is also really good, just to give us some extra distance to practice with. And the reason why I'm beeping and turning around and activating the leash pressure at the same time is to try to get him to start associating hearing the beep with turning around, looking for me, and probably catching up. So here again. Yes, good boy. Good job. Good boy. Okay. It'll be very important when you're starting something like this to just be very encouraging Give him plenty of time in between practices too, so that way he can actually go out and explore and smell and get distracted, because part of it is we really want him to be conditioned to pull himself away and back to us when he is distracted. If your environment is, of course, too distracting and he's not able to focus, yes, good boy. Then I would recommend either starting inside at home or trying to find a less distracting environment, like an open field or a different time of day when it's maybe quieter out without any children running around and playing. Good boy. You can also do this with like a normal leash as well, and I'll kind of lock the leash length so it's more like a normal length here of like 6 foot or so. Okay, but the same thing here will happen. Okay. We'll be walking for a bit, making sure he's not paying attention to me. I also want to make sure that the leash isn't already tight too, so that way we do have that extra impact. Good boy. He's doing a really good job of sticking with me, so might be just because there's a lot of things going on with the kids being offloaded on the bus here, so that might be a good distraction. Huh? Okay. All right, so we're walking, and I beep and you turn at the same time. Yes, good boy. Good boy. Good job. Yes, good boy. For this kind of exercise, especially at first, I find that it really helps if you have higher value treats or toys, something that they really enjoy. Right now we're just using low sodium turkey. If you do go for like the meat route, it's always recommended that you try to make it as healthy for them as possible, with low sodium and low fat. You know, none of the Cajun seasonings or anything fancy like that could upset their stomach. I've seen people as well even use lean cuts of steak, maybe from leftover dinner. Just make sure that you cook it. There's some pups that are on a raw diet as well, so it just really depends on your pup. So we're gonna go ahead, let him walk around a little bit. All right, so now the leash is nice and loose. He's a little distracted there. I'm gonna go ahead and beep. Yes, good boy. Good boy, perfect. Eventually you wanna get it to the point where you don't have to tug on the leash or anything anymore. He just starts coming back when he hears that tone. And then it's just all practice from there. Yeah, good boy, Flint. As he gets better, then you'll want to keep going in more distracting scenarios like dog park, or maybe an actual park where there's maybe other kids running around or playing. You want to make sure that he's still on a leash in those conditions. But then if you wanted really off-leash practice, then going to a dog park, for example, when it's really slow, or when there are no dogs preferably, would be another really good option. So that way you have a lot more wide open space without any risk of him, you know, running away or anything. He's getting distracted by the dog barking there, so I'm gonna go ahead and use the beep. Yes, good boy. Good job, Flint. Good boy. That was really good there because he was obviously very distracted by not only the person coming out of the car, but also the barking of the pup. Got some traffic coming up, so I'm gonna go ahead and lock the leash at a normal length. Hi. This will normally be easier for people as well because they all also won't usually be holding a camera in a hand. Just gonna go ahead and unlock now. Let him kind of get further away. I'm gonna beep and turn around. Yes, good boy. Good boy, Flint. Good job. All right, we'll keep the video nice and short, but that's pretty much the basics of how to start with building a good, positive relationship with the tone and recall.